News Radio 700 WLW.
The FBI, which is investigating now this possible, well, it's not even possible anymore. It's a terrorist attack. The FBI is saying it's a terrorist attack. And the FBI has certainly been very active over the last 4 years, some that have helped the organization, some that have not. It is involved with what's going on with sports leagues because of these athletes that are having their homes broken into, burglarized. We saw that here just about a month ago with Joe Burrow. The FBI has warned these leagues, NBA, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball. They have warned these leagues about athletes' homes targeted by crime organizations. The warning was delivered by a report called the Liaison Information Report. The Mavericks' Luka Doncic has been the latest. $30,000 of jewelry was stolen from Doncic's home on Friday night of last week. And, of course, we know all about what happened with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's home was broken into despite the fact that he had armed protection watching his home. And it would lead one to believe that this is not just an organized group, but groups that can somehow, some way, in anticipation of a burglary, find a way onto the property to do some research. At least that's the thought of my next guest. I've had Dr. Alex Del Carmen on the show a lot this year. He is a criminologist. He is the director of the Institute for Predictive Analytics at Tarleton State University. He studies these things in and out. He's a former police officer. He's a former detective. And now he's teaching what he knows at Tarleton State. And I wanted to get him on to get his thoughts on what appears to be a really big problem that you would think had, with all of the security systems that are out there right now and all of the protective services that are out there, that this would be a very easy problem to solve. Well, let's just see if it is. Dr. Del Carmen, how are you on this New Year's Day?
I'm doing great, Ken.
I'm glad you're here. Well, so this looks like it's an organized effort, and that all of these break-ins are, at least from what we can tell here with the Joe Burrow break-in a couple of weeks ago, there was a stakeout by these thieves, and they had cased the place. Might have been someone working on the ground. We don't know, but this is not just random, is it?
No, it's not random, and it's actually done by very sophisticated bad guys, right? These are people that are going to be looking at, the scoping out the area, making sure the athletes are away from their homes, ensuring that they have devices that are going to block out any kind of internet access. I mean, this is really right out of Hollywood, right? And these are organized individuals that are very disciplined, and they're very much purposeful doing this with very famous people that have a lot of money.
In fact, there was a, from what we can tell, there was a security guard outside of his house, but the break-in occurred in the back of his house. And I would guess all you need to do something like that would be a lot of research when the particular athlete comes and goes. And then at that point, it's just a case of, having these Wi-Fi jammers and other things to get into the house. If you can jam the Wi-Fi system, therefore you could probably neutralize the alarm system that this person has, right?
Right. And then on top of that, you got to remember that these folks, because they're very sophisticated, they're likely going to be scoping out the area weeks in advance. They're going to maybe even act as delivery people. They're going to be delivering things to the house to find out what the layout of the house is. For Google Maps now, you can pretty much look and find out what the neighborhood looks like, what the points of entry, points of departure of that home are, whether or not it has security guards, what time the shift ends and starts for the new guard coming in. So all of that information, as you call it, research, is done prior to the actual crime. So when they execute, they're pretty methodical. And remember, too, that time is of the essence in their crime. And so they're going to go in and out and make sure that everything that would capture their faces or their digital prints are all out of the way as well. My guess is that there are probably 4 to 6 people involved in every one of these incidents at the very least.
Well, these homes all have I'm guessing, I mean, I do, I would guess everyone else does, they have cameras inside the house. Are you saying that if you go in there and you can jam the Wi-Fi, you can also neutralize the cameras as well?
In some cases, most of the cameras no longer are dependent on, a wired phone line. And so by virtue of that, most of them operate under some sort of a Wi-Fi control component, not exclusively, but most of them do. Having said that, remember, too, they don't care about whether or not you have a camera inside the house if they're going to be masked and they're going to be wearing gloves. The bottom line is you're going to have a really nice video to show your relatives about some bad guy coming in to steal your goods. But they're not going to get caught.
So, and again, trying to piece together how this would happen, it would be difficult then for if the alarm system is neutered and the cameras at worst are just taking pictures that would be used for home consumption, not to go to the police, then how do the police get notified? I mean, you could literally have somebody break in and not have to worry at all about getting out inside of 90 seconds or 120 seconds. If you've done your proper research, I mean, you could have unfettered access for a long time, right?
You could technically, but remember too that a lot of these athletes live in very expensive homes that require maintenance by people that they seek help from, such as the lawn person, the lawn company, the cleaning service inside the house. These are people that have access to the homes, and even though the athletes and their spouses or their children may be away from home, all of those folks are going to be coming in and out at some point. My guess is that most of them are the ones that encounter the theft, or they find out that something's happened, at which point they call 911 and they call the homeowner. So there is some degree of time sequence that has to take place that the criminals have to be aware of, and they cannot simply just sit back and say, we got 3 hours to do this. They know that time is of the essence. And so, like I said, this is a well-researched, well-organized team of people that are doing this throughout the United States. And the bottom line here, Ken, is that if they can do this to very wealthy individuals, they can do this to anyone.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, Joe Burrow, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, they live in high-end homes, probably in gated communities, and my guess is the possessions they have are great in terms of dollars, exceed what you might have, I might have, the average person might have in their homes. But the same kind of discipline would be involved for the person breaking, or the people breaking into the home. I mean, it's the same thing. It's kind of like a card game. You're going to break into a home, and it might be a huge pot. You might break into my home, your home, and it may not be as much with valuable things that we have, but it's the same disciplines, right?
Yeah, it's the same discipline, except that, they're going to go after people that have a lot of money because they know that 30 seconds in their home is going to be a lot more fruitful than 30 seconds in my home or somebody else's home that would not have as many goods and property as these folks that are very wealthy would be, right?
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, the risk is going to be higher in folks that are famous versus, say, the average American, because of the fact that, some of us do leave our homes for a couple of weeks when we go away, and we don't have the resources nor the reason to have a private security company come in and check on the house every once in a while. So whereas, an athlete would. But I will tell you what concerns me here is that these are criminals that are, once again, organized, orchestrated, and by virtue of that, there's no telling what the end game is going to be. And at some point, there will be somebody inside one of these homes that will be armed, that will be there to protect the property, and we're going to get to see a very different outcome on some of these crimes than what we've seen up to now.
Yeah, it only takes once, and it may scare everyone else away that wants to do it. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Dolphins, says now that he has armed security after these burglaries, but as you mentioned, what chance does that give you and me? I mean, it's one thing for a quarterback that has earned and made hundreds of millions of dollars. It's quite another thing that for somebody that's maybe making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year. I mean, what's the answer for people like you and me if indeed security systems can be bypassed that easily?
My advice to the average American is to ensure that we, first of all, whenever we go away, we don't post any pictures or any movies or any clips while we're away on social media outlets, right? And the reason for that is we don't want to let the bad guys know that our property is being unguarded. Secondly, I would also encourage them to do so if they want to post comments and they want to post pictures, to do so once they come back from wherever they are. And number three, I would make sure that the alarm system is working as best as it can, and that you have the ability of having a relative or somebody physically go to your property while you're away to ensure that your property is kept up and that there are no issues, right, coming in in terms of threats to the home, right? Those are basic things that I think if we follow them, for the most part, we are not going to be victimized by these types of crimes. However, there are no guarantees.
Yeah, well, I guess an alarm system is prudent anyway. It may not stop these kind of criminals, but the petty thief, which I would guess makes up the largest amount of break-ins. It's not these elaborate teams that are going after these high-end ball players. I would guess any kind of security system is better than none when you're talking about what the average break-in crime and who's perpetrating it is involved, right?
Although we look at the national statistics and they suggest that the alarm systems are really made for the psychological benefit of the homeowner to feel that they're safe more so than they are, in fact, providing some degree of safety. And police officers will tell you that 9 out of 10 times that they respond to an alarm intrusion in somebody's home is going to be a false alarm. Having said that, it only requires one time, right, for it to work properly for the rest of us to feel that, in fact, we are safe. The idea of being able to arm your system when you're away, the idea of having some sort of a monitoring device inside a home while you're away gives you that peace of mind that even though it may not be necessarily practical, it does give you the peace of mind to know that at the very least your property is being guarded.
And these guys that are doing this with these athletes, Doctor, as you mentioned earlier, they might be delivery people. They might be somebody that comes in to accompany someone else to work on a job inside your house. Maybe they're a recent hire by that company. I mean, it is kind of frightening how all of this works because most of us have people in our homes that are doing something to fix the home, put a device in, whatever it may be. And so there's a wide swath of trust that all of us seem to have when it comes to things like that. But that invariably is how it happens. Somebody knows you or knows where you live or knows what's inside your house, and that's how it's being accomplished. To me, invasion of privacy is horrible, but when that invasion is done under the guise of working or helping you, I don't know. I don't know how you rebound psychologically from something like that. Do you?
No, it's very hard. And what it also makes it worse is the fact that national statistics show you that property that has been broken into at least once is going to be broken into again. We don't exactly know why, because sometimes it's a different criminal that's going to be breaking into the property. But once that property has actually been shown as being vulnerable, other criminals will take advantage of that. You know, I will tell you that, to be clear, most people that engage in that kind of work of delivering things and goods and services are honest, decent, hardworking people. But there are individuals, unfortunately, that are criminals that take on those jobs specifically for the reason of being able to scope out the area and commit a crime. There was a famous criminologist many years ago by the name of Paul Cromwell who actually interviewed thousands of home burglars, and he asked them the question, you know, what exactly are you looking for? And what they said oftentimes was, well, we go in the homes under the disguise of a delivery person or to provide some sort of a service, or to knock on somebody's door to offer a new roofing type of service or some sort of an alarm system. All that we're doing is trying to scope the area to find out who else lives in that property, what the layout of the property is, and when you're going to be away on your next trip.
Famous criminologist named Paul Cromwell. He could not be more famous than Dr. Alex Del Carmen. I'll guarantee that. I'll guarantee that. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we've at least shed some light onto this and maybe help somebody down the road. Thank you. You stay well. We need to hear your voice.
Thank you, Ken. As always, it's been a pleasure. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, too.